Hey you guys, welcome back to Advisory. I'm really sorry if your screen is splotchy and it's hard for you to see. I'm doing the best that I can. I don't know why it's doing that. It shows up clearly on mine, so we'll just do the best that we can, right? So fold your paper into 4. This shouldn't be new to you because you did it yesterday, and you should have been doing it in your math class. So you're folding it in 4. You're going to put your name and your math teacher's name, because you will be turning it into your math teacher. Whether you have Coach Fletcher, Miss Fowler, or Miss Anderson. Okay, so let's go ahead and brain dump first. So let's go ahead and brain dump. It says, when multiplying fractions, I need to. So when I multiply fractions, turn and talk to your partner. Turn and talk to your partner. What should you be doing? So I have somebody say we're going to multiply the top. So I'm going to do numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. I multiply across and then simplify if I need to. When we divide our fractions, we are always going to multiply by the reciprocal. What I mean by that is if I have 1/4 times, divided by 2/5, that would end up being 1/4. Remember, instead of division, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. Reciprocal means we're just going to flip my numerator and denominator. So, again, multiply by the reciprocal, and then we multiply across. So this would be 5/8. And then my last question is, well, what if I have fractions and decimals? Turn and talk to your partner. What do you think you're going to have to do? Okay, I should have heard some people say, change them all the fractions or change them all the decimals. That's when those benchmarks would be easy for you. So if you know your benchmarks and have them memorized, it'll be a lot easier. So let's go over them. 1/8 would be 0.125. 1/10 would be 0.10. 1/5 is 0.20. 1/4, 0.25. 1/3, 0.33. And you should know that 1/2 is 0.50 and 3/4 is 0.75. Okay, those are the benchmarks that you should know because they can help you on the other side. And if you don't know your benchmarks, then you should know to change a decimal to a fraction, a fraction to a decimal. You have your fraction here. You're going to end up dividing. Your top number goes inside the house, make it look like money. Your bottom number stays outside. And let me change that. It should be change a fraction to a decimal. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started because we went ahead and brain dump. So now we're going to go ahead and start solving. So remember, for our mini lesson, you're going to need to get those keywords. We have to annotate our problems. And I think it's funny because I'm pretty sure Mr. Duenas and Miss Anderson are like, heck yeah, she says annotate. You know, annotating is just another fancy way of saying to showing your work. This is my text and I'm going to annotate. These are go hand in hand with each other. Math and reading, you're doing the same thing. Okay, so it says Erica has to buy cheese to bring her class party. She bought 2.5 pounds of cheddar and for $2.40. So this equaled $2.40. And then we have 1 3/5 pounds of pepper jack for $2.70. Oh, remember, this was per pound, this was per pound. Okay, sorry. What was the total cost? Okay, so again, it says Erica has to buy cheese to bring to her class party. She bought 2.5 pounds of cheddar for $2.40 per pound and 1 3/5 pounds of pepper jack for $2.70 per pound. They want to know the total cost. So let's go ahead and figure out how much my cheddar cheese is going to cost. So if I notice, I'm comparing pounds and money. I like to make a ratio table or a proportion. I'm comparing my pounds and I'm comparing my money. So if I notice it's for 1 pound, because it says per pound means for 1 pound. For 1 pound, it's $2.40. But I want to know for 2.5 pounds. But what's my decimal for 1/2? 0.50, right? So this will be 2.50. Again, this is for my cheddar cheese. This is all cheddar cheese. How do I get from 1 to 250? I multiply by 250. So I'm going to multiply my bottom by 250. Do I need my zeros? No. So I can do 2.4 times 2.5. I'm trying to make it just so y'all can see it. Okay, so now I'm just going to multiply. 5 times 4 is 20. Carry my 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. Placeholder. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. Add that up. So it was $6 for the cheddar cheese. But I'm not done yet. I still have to figure out for pepper jack. So again, for pepper jack, I'm comparing my pounds and money. So 1 3/5. If 1/5 is 0.20, then 3/5 would be 0.20 plus 0.20 plus 0.20. That's 0.60. So that would be, whoa, hang on. Let's try this again. It says 1 3/5 pepper jack for $2.70. Per pound means 1. So for 1 pound, it's going to be $2.70. But I want to know for 1 3/5 pounds, so that's going to get 1.60. Because 3/5 is 20.20.20. Okay, and then I put that 1 in front because it's 1 3/5. Okay, now let's solve. How do I get from 1 to 1.60? I multiply by 1.60. So whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. Again, I'm looking for my pepper jack. I don't need these zeros, So I can do 2.7 times 1.6. 6 times 7 is 42, carry my 4. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 4 is 16. Placeholder. 7 times 1 is 7, 2 times 1 is 2. Add that up. It would be $4.32 for some pepper jack. But I'm not done yet. I still have to figure out what my total cost is. So I have to take this 6 and I have to take this $4.32. What do I need to do with them? I need to add them together to figure out how much I'm going to pay at that register. So $4.32 plus 6. Notice I lined up my decimals. That makes $10.32. That's how much total she spends. Her class must really like cheese. Now look at my paper and look at your paper. You should have written all of this down. It's super, super important. And the reason why I made proportions or ratio tables is because sometimes I don't know when to multiply or when I know how to divide. So this tells me what I should be doing, okay? Because we can't always rely on the word per to mean that we're multiplying. Let's do another problem. I had to turn my paper over to show my work. So let's look at number 1. And remember, I'm going to be writing my keywords. And there's A, B, C, D. Okay, Micah has $12.75 pounds of Skittles to share with his friends. So far he has 12.75 pounds of Skittles to share. He divides them into 0.5 pounds containers. How many containers? So if I was to draw a picture of this problem, this is all my Skittles. Taste the rainbow. These are all my Skittles. Okay? And then he takes it and he gives it to one friend. And then he takes it and he gives it to somebody else. And then he takes it and he gives it to somebody else. If I notice, he's sharing them equally. He's dividing them out. Okay? So we have 12.75. And we're putting them in these containers. Remember, my 12.75, that was my total. And this is my piece. He's just taking pieces out, right? So remember, I cannot have decimals on the outside. So I'm going to move it one time. No, I don't want no decimals. So now I have 5 on the outside and 127.5 on the inside. Okay. So 5 cannot go into 1, but 5 can go into 12 twice. Subtract, that's 10. Look at your answer choices. What can you automatically eliminate right away? I can eliminate D right away. because it's starting with 0.255, and I don't have, my decimal is over here. Okay, so that makes 2, bring down my 7. 5 can go into 27, 5 times. Subtract, that's 25. So look at your answer choices now. If I look at my answer choices now, I can eliminate A and I can eliminate C, because I know that I'm going to need 25 points. So my answer is B. And if I wanted to, I could continue dividing. 5 goes in 25 5 times. So my answer is 25.5 containers. All right, let's go ahead and do number 2. Again, I'm going to write my keywords. How about you do number 2? You do number 2, and we'll check. Teachers, go ahead and pause it. All right, let's see how y'all do. It says Mama Harkins is making cookies for a family reunion. Each batch calls for 1.5 cups of chocolate chips. She makes 3.5 batches. We want to know how many cups. So if I notice, I'm comparing two things. I'm comparing batches and I'm comparing cups. So what can I go ahead and make? I can make a proportion or a ratio table. So I have batches and I have cups. Each batch, that means one batch is 1.5 cups. But I want to know for 3.5 batches. Think about it. How can I get from 1 to 3.5? I can multiply 3.5. So I'm going to multiply 3.5 here. So I'm going to do 1.5 times 3.5. 5 times 5 is 25, carry my 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7, placeholder. 3 times 5 is 15, carry my 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Add that up. That's 5, 12, carry my 1, 5. Back up on my decimal, so it's going to be 5.25, or 5 1/4 cups. Okay, let's do number 3. Y'all do number 3 and then we'll check our answer. Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, Jade has 3.75 pounds of cookies, or pounds of cookie dough. Each cookie sheet holds 5/8 pounds. How many cookie sheets will she fill the cookie dough to make all the cookies? So there's some things that we know. We know that each cookie sheet, so one cookie sheet holds 5/8 pounds. So what two things am I comparing? I'm comparing them cookie sheets and the pounds of cookie dough. So each cookie sheet holds 5/8, right? But I want to know how many of them would be 3.75. Well, I don't know how many 5/8 I can multiply to get to 3.75. So I'm going to have to divide. I'm going to make that 3 3/4, and I'm going to divide my 5/8. Because I didn't know what number I'm multiplying, so that's why I'm dividing. I can make this into an improper fraction. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15, so I have 15 over 4 divided by 5/8. I know from my notes and my brain dump earlier that when I divide, I have to multiply the reciprocal. Okay. But now I can make these smaller numbers. So if I look at the 15 and the 5, how can I simplify those with what? With 5, right? So this can turn into a 3, and this can turn into a 1 because I'm simplifying. What can I simplify 4 and 8 with? I can simplify it by 4, right? So this would be 1, and this would be 2. So now I have smaller numbers that I can multiply with. So 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. So what answer choice is that? That is A. I could have multiplied my numbers and then simplified it that way, but I love working with smaller numbers, so that's why I went ahead and simplified right away. Now it's time for our exit ticket. So go ahead and solve your problem. Okay, so let's look at my keywords. Coach Murphy runs 6.5 miles. Coach Jackson runs 3.5 times that. They want to know how many does Coach Jackson run. So what do you think I'm going to have to do with this and this? I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to do 6.5 times 3.5. 25, carry my 2. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 2 is 32. Placeholder, 3 times 5 is 15, carry my 1. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Add that up. Now, I have 2 numbers behind my decimal, so I'm going to move it 1, 2. Coach Jackson runs 22.75 miles. Dang, Coach Jackson. Okay. Y'all are going to go ahead and either play Book It or quizzes. Have a wonderful day. I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.